You've heard of avoidant attachment style. Maybe you've even taken a quiz and been identified as having one. But here's what most people don't know. There's another condition with almost the same name, and confusing the two could mean missing a diagnosis that changes your life. Today, we're breaking down the difference between avoidant attachment style and avoidant personality disorder, also called AvPD, because the same name does not mean the same thing. Both avoidant attachment style and avoidant personality disorder involve one central theme, so pulling away from people. And this is where the similarity begins, and for a lot of people, it's where the confusion starts. If you've ever Googled, why do I push people away? Why do I feel emotionally unavailable? Or do I have avoidant attachment? You're probably landed in this exact space. The internet is full of content about attachment styles: dismissive avoidant, fearful avoidant, anxious avoidant, but very little that clearly separates these from the clinical mental health condition like avoidant personality disorder. So let's fix that right now. What is the avoidant attachment style? Well, avoidant attachment style is rooted in attachment theory, first developed by psychologist John Bowlby. He's a genius, and later expanded by Mary Ainsworth, also a genius. Attachment theory says that the way we bonded or failed to bond with our caregivers in early childhood shapes how we relate to people throughout our lives. Makes sense, right? If your emotional needs were consistently unmet as a child, if you were taught, directly or indirectly, that depending on others was unsafe or unreliable, you may have developed an avoidant attachment pattern. There are two main types. Dismissive avoidant attachment is when you value independence and self sufficiency almost above everything else. Emotional intimacy feels uncomfortable or unnecessary. You tend to minimize your own emotions and downplay the importance of relationships, and you commonly think, I don't really need anyone. Fearful avoidant attachment, also called disorganized attachment, is when you want closeness but are deeply afraid of it at the same time. You may experience push pull dynamics in your relationship. It's often linked to trauma or inconsistent caregiving in childhood. And the common thought here is, I want love, but I'm terrified of it. So, avoidant attachment style is a relational pattern, not a diagnosable mental health disorder. It shows up most clearly in romantic relationships and close relationships, and it can be shifted with the right self awareness and therapeutic support. So, what about avoidant personality disorder? So, AVDP is a recognized mental health condition listed in the DSM, so the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. This is a cluster C personality disorder alongside dependent personality disorder and obsessive compulsive personality disorder. So, cluster C disorders are characterized by anxious, fearful thinking, and behavior. And AvPD is estimated to affect between 1.5% and 2.5% of the general population, yet it remains one of the most underdiagnosed and misunderstood personality disorders, because surely there's more people than that. I see them, they're my clients. So, to be diagnosed with avoidant personality disorder, a person must show 4 or more of the following. The first one is avoids occupational activities that involve significant interpersonal contact because of fear of criticism, disapproval, or rejection. Second, unwilling to get involved with people unless being certain of being liked. 3, shows restraints within intimate relationships because of fear of being shamed or ridiculed. 4, preoccupied with being criticized or rejected in social situations. 5, inhibited in new interpersonal situations because of feelings of inadequacy. 6, views self as socially inept, personally unappealing, or inferior to others. And 7, unusually reluctant to take personal risks or engage in any new activities because they may prove embarrassing. So notice something important here. AvPD is driven by a deep fear of rejection and a profoundly negative self-image. People with AvPD desperately want connection. They just believe they are fundamentally unworthy of it. And this might be unconscious. So you might come up to someone and say, no, that's not true. It might be something they're not aware of. The most critical difference: someone with avoidant attachment often doesn't want closeness. Someone with AvPD deeply wants closeness, but is paralyzed by the fear of rejection. So can you have both? Yes. And this is where things get nuanced. It's entirely possible for someone to have both a fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant attachment style and avoidant personality disorder. In fact, there's a significant overlap between fearful avoidant attachment and AvPD, especially when childhood trauma is involved. And research also shows that AvPD frequently co-occurs with social anxiety disorder. So there's actually an ongoing clinical debate about whether AvPD and severe social anxiety are the same condition on a spectrum. They also often have depression, generalized anxiety disorder, and a ding, 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 complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So if you suspect that you might have AvPD, rather than or in addition to an avoidant attachment style, it's important to seek proper evaluation from a licensed mental health professional. An online quiz cannot diagnose a personality disorder. So let's talk about how each of them are treated. So treating avoidant attachment style, obviously we got therapy, particularly psychodynamic therapy or attachment-based therapy helps to uncover the root causes. This is really important. There's new studies and training in this area that are really, really fascinating and effective. Another one is internal family system, IFS therapy, pretty new and also really dynamic and exciting. Relationship education and communication skills helps. Nervous system regulation practices, so breath work and somatic work, also new on the scene, very useful. Building secure relationships over time. So you're earning secure attachment is real and possible. And I think it has to be a part of the treatment. Treating avoidant personality disorders, we have CBT. CBT is an old therapy that's been used for lots of things very effectively over long periods of time. And this directly targets distorted beliefs about the self and others. DBT, one of my favorites, this is dialectical behavioral therapy, is especially helpful for emotional regulation. Schema therapy addresses deep-rooted core beliefs formed in childhood. Group therapy, I'm a big believer, provides a safe, structured environment to practice social interaction. If you don't have this social interaction practice in a safe environment, it's going to be really, really hard to get those skills and use them comfortably. In some cases, medication may help address the co-occurring anxiety and depression. And the good news for both, neither condition is a life sentence. With the right support, people can make real, meaningful progress. So let's look at signs that it might be more than your attachment style. So here are some signs that what you're experiencing may go beyond a typical avoidant attachment style and could be worth exploring with a professional. So you avoid all social relationships, not just intimate ones. You frequently turn down jobs, opportunities, or activities because you're afraid of embarrassing yourself. You assume people dislike you unless given very strong proof otherwise. You feel a persistent, deep sense of being fundamentally flawed or unlovable, not just in relationships, but as a person. The fear of rejection is so intense, it feels physically uncomfortable. And your avoidance is causing significant impairment in your daily life, career, or well-being. If several of those resonate, it might be worth speaking to a therapist who specializes in personality disorders or anxiety. So let's recap. Avoidant attachment style is a relational pattern rooted in early experiences. It mostly affects how you show up in close relationships and is very, 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 very common. Avoidant personality disorder is a clinical mental health condition characterized by pervasive social avoidance, deep shame, and an intense, paralyzing fear of rejection that impacts virtually every area of your life. Same name, very different experiences. So understanding which one applies to you or whether both do is the first step towards getting the right kind of help. If this video resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like and subscribe for more content on mental health, trauma, and healing. So drop a comment below. Are you just learning about the difference between these two? I'd love to know what brought you here. Thanks for being here.